Hi everybody, I'm Jen with the Giggly Gypsy and Allegory Gallery here in Ligonier, Pennsylvania. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I have another fun tutorial for us. But before we get started, if you like what we've been doing for you, if you're new to us, hit the subscribe button. Hit the little bell so you're notified every time we post a new tutorial, and hit the like button. Go over to our Facebook group, Allegory Gallery Design Challenges, and post what you've made with us. Love to see what you've created. Without further ado, let's get started. So today we're going to be making this really cute, very simple little piece, and what I mainly want you to take away from this piece is to not be afraid of wire. It's going to be really willy-nilly. It's going to be design as you go, kind of. I'm just providing you a little base here, but like when you get going, if the wire decides it wants to go somewhere, let it take you there, and you might be really pleasantly surprised. So just don't be afraid of the wire. It does not have to be perfect. You can hide blemishes, and chances are nobody is gonna notice except you. So a couple of good tools here. I like to patina all my stuff. I like a nice antique finish. I don't like the bright copper. So I always use a liver of sulfur on my stuff. And this one here, this is really awesome. This is nice and hard. So you just add a little tiny piece to some super hot water. And I like to clean my piece with vinegar after I've made it, and then wash the vinegar off really good. Make it as hot as you possibly can, and then drop the piece in the liver of sulfur solution, which if I'm just gonna do like 1 or 2 pieces real quick, small things, not big, I'm just gonna do about a 1/4 cup of water and just like an itty bitty tiny little chunk of this. A little bit goes a long way. Don't breathe it in. It smells gross. It's like eggs. You don't want it. And then after I'm done with that, I will rinse it in water. I will put a little bit of baking soda in that water to kind of neutralize it. And then will take a piece of steel wool and I'll go over the whole thing. I'll remove a lot of that patina that's on there. I'll also take a nail file or a buffing cloth and just have a lot of fun and just kind of shape it. And if you are not someone who's able to do hammering, a nail file and some thin wire is going to be your best friend, because you can do a lot of flattening and a lot of that removal of the patina, or just give some shape and character to your piece without having to pound. It's really awesome. And then just rinse the dust off. Don't breathe the dust in. It's gross. So another couple of good handy tools, a nice flat jeweler's file, nail file. I like the soft squishy ones so that you can kind of, be a little aggressive with it and grind it down in there. You might want something round for this piece. I have a ring mandrel, but you could use a Sharpie. I'm actually just going to show you how to freehand it, but if you're one of those perfectionists, then go ahead and use something round to form it. We're going to be using 20 gauge pure copper wire. This has no anti-tarnish on it. We're only going to use about, maybe about 12 inches. I have 2 6-inch pieces here already cut. We are going to use some 16 gauge dead soft pure copper wire as well. I've already cut a piece to 6 inches. Handy dandy tools. Obviously you want some flush cutters, some needle nose pliers. I like my Xeron. A couple of different flat noses. I like a bent nose just in case I need to get into somewhere. A couple little round noses. Wire smoother if you want it. That's pretty much it. don't really need to do too much measuring because, again, I want you to have fun with this piece because you can just, you know, come up with a whole new design on the fly. A lot of tools. All right, so this little piece of amethyst I'm using, this is a large hole piece of amethyst. It's an 8mm bead. If you want to use a small hole bead, just make sure that it's going to fit on the 20 gauge wire. If it doesn't, maybe you could use a couple of 22 gauge pieces of wire, but really I like the 20. It just stands up as a pendant. I don't really like to use too thin a wire unless I'm just wrapping, you know, with wrapping wire, which would be a whole new design. We're gonna stop talking about that now. So the first thing we're going to do is take our 16 gauge piece of wire. I'm gonna grab my flat nose. I'm gonna straighten it out just a little bit more and get those kinks out. Use my wire smoothers here. This is going to kind of warm up the wire too. If you're not used to working with wire, 16 gauge can be a little bit hard on the hands, but it's worth it. All right, so now that we've got that done, let's get this little bump out of here, even though we're going to wind up putting more bumps in there anyway. Let's go ahead and rough fine the center. Does not have to be perfect. And we're going to bend that into a tight V. Go ahead and squeeze that tightly shut. Okay, and now I'm going to grab it with my flat nose. I've turned it, so my flat nose, I'm grabbing the flat part right there. And I've given it probably about a good 1/4 inch there. And I'm going to pull one side to the left and one side to the right and make this nice little V shape here. And now you have that nice little point in the front. Now I'm going to just take my finger on the inside here and just kind of gently form a little tiny curve. Not dramatic. Just kind of work that wire slowly up to the top there. Just put a nice little curve in there. This is kind of a leaf shape. And the rest of our wire, we've kind of made it look like a little vine motif going on, so it's nice and natural. All right, just work until you've got a nice little curve going on there and you're happy with it. I guess this kind of looks like a wishbone. All right. Now this is where you could stick your round tool in here if you want. You don't need to go too thick on it because you don't want too much space in between. And just kind of push that one side over the other till you got like a little Darwin fish thing going on. I don't like how much of a curve is in here, so I'm going to take my flat nose, just kind of bring some of that curve out. And I'm going to work those two together until I'm not too much wider than that 8mm bead. Just work until you got a nice little shape you're happy with. Okay. I like that a lot. Now I'm going to take my flat nose. I'm going to go right to where those two cross on the left hand side. I'm going to do a 90-degree bend so that that left side is going straight up and this one is crossing. I'm going to throw it. Just kidding, don't throw it. All right, so I'm holding it in my flat nose pliers right here. And one of the main things that that does, not only hold it steady for me, but it's going to keep this one side from getting shorter as I wrap it around this part we straightened that's going to be the bail. So I'm just going to do a nice tight loop from the front around the back. And then I am going to come up around to the front and kind of curve that towards the left. So I really just need to go around it once. Remove that. Make sure I'm happy with the shape. I am. And I've got probably about a little bit over an inch left there as my tail. I'm probably going to shorten that just a little bit because I don't want a killer spiral. I don't want it to be like in your face spiral. But I'm going to do about a 1/4 inch off of that. And I think we've got about a good inch going there. And before I do that, I'm just going to come in here and give it a little shape and a little texture with my nail file. Just going to flatten out the middle right there just a little bit. Flatten out that tip just a squinch. I like that. There we go. You see how nice that is? Like without even like having to pound it and hammer it and go through all of that loud noise that you should always wear earplugs for. There. This is also going to help it to harden. Once that cools off, it's going to be tempered. All right. That's a good little shape going. All right. Now I'm going to come in with my round nose tool. This is a bail maker, but I mean, it makes round stuff, so why not? You could also use your little round nose pliers if you want, which we're going to end up doing because I like those. So let's grab by the end here and just make a little C to get that coil started. Make sure you don't have a rough burr on that end there. I'm going to go ahead and give it a little texture here too before we really get going. All right, now I'm going to take my flat nose, close that up just a little bit, and now do our coil. This one's going to be a nice big round coil. And I'm going to bring that to the center of my piece, maybe a little off center. Yeah, I like that. I'm going to finish that off just a little bit here. Let's do the flat file here and get a little aggressive. Yeah, like that. And then every time I use that aggressive file there, I like to go over it with the nail file again. You could use a fine grit sandpaper as well if you don't have a nail file on hand. All right, I'm happy with that. Right, now we're gonna go up here, make our bail. I'm gonna take my flat nose again, right where the coil is. I'm gonna bend that. I'm gonna say it's close to 90 degrees towards the right there. Let's go ahead and come in with our bail maker. And I'm gonna go around that, complete my circle, and tuck that right behind the coil that we've made. Come in with my flush cutter, and I'm making sure that I'm using the flat part right where those two wires are crossing. I'm going in there with the flat part facing, I don't know what you want to call that. It's going, so the part that I'm cutting off is going to have the burr on it, not the part that's left on my bail. That's gonna create a nice tight close right there. Go ahead and shape it a little bit now if you want. Straighten all your stuff out. I like to straighten as I go rather than go in later. I'm very happy with that. And I've got a good space on either side for that center bead. All right, let's take one of our 6-inch pieces of the 20 gauge wire. I'm going to go through that bead at kind of an angle, and since this is shorter, I'm not going to go quite halfway. I'm going to go a little bit less than halfway for the top part here, and I'm going to pinch that bead to get a good grip, and over the top of that left hand side of your frame, I'm just going to grab that wire and start wrapping loosely around your frame. This is willy-nilly, so go loose, go tight. You're just working your way up towards the top of that piece. And you do want to leave yourself enough that when you get up to the bail here, you'll have enough room to do, or enough material to do a little end spiral. You might need to move this one out of the way just a little bit. I think I'm going to go around one more time. Perfect. That's what I like. So I'm going to come around from the back, coming around the top of that bail there. take that kink out of here by using my flat nose to just kind of squeeze that straight. It doesn't have to be perfect. I've got probably a little bit less than ½ an inch left for that spiral. And I'm going to curl this spiral in the opposite direction of our large spiral there, which I have just used my fingers to bend back into position. So let's go ahead and do that little starting C. Take my flat nose, squeeze that shut, and let's continue that coil. I like that position. Okay. And don't worry about your bead at this point flopping around because we're going to secure that. I don't like how loose this one is. I'm going to squeeze that shut just a little bit. Bring that a little tighter. All right, I'm happy with that. So now we're going to spiral down towards the tip. Kind of warm it up with my fingers again so it's nice and pliable. I'm going to start that coil tight. And just kind of loose form, go down towards that tip. When you're going around, be careful how hard you pull against that side of the frame because you don't want to pull your leaf out of shape. Come back around again. I'm going to go around that tip. And when I get to the side right there, that's where I'm going to go in with my flesh cutters, nice and tight. Flat part. Going in closest to the piece to make sure that I don't have a burr left on that remaining wire. And I'm just going to tuck that end in so that it's not going to grab onto your skin and your clothing. There we go. Nope, still feel a little piece. This is where our nice tight little Xeron needle nose come in. Very handy. Get into that tight little spot there. Perfect. Now just check and see if you've gotten anything out of whack. I'm going to bring the spiral over just a little bit, and I did whack out this one. So just put everything back where you want it. Go ahead and file out any tool marks you've made. Add a little texture. The other reason I like to do this as we go in different parts is because once you start adding more wires, you might end up covering up a spot and won't be able to get in there and shape that later. So why not do it as you go? One definite bead you're going to want to really think twice about doing if you're going to do the liver of sulfur patina is a pearl. You can get away with it with a weaker solution, but pearls really don't tend to like it too much unless you're quick. You gotta be real quick about it. Make sure you start that neutralizer with the baking soda right away. There. I like that. Okay, now we're going to come in with our second piece of the 20 gauge wire. This piece we're going to work up towards the bail this way, and this one you want to have enough that you'll be able to go around the bead, I'm going to say about 1.5 times. So that's going to be, I say we do halfway right there. I like that. Okay, so once again, pinching that bead and holding this in a way that you are going to be able to work steadily. Start wrapping that around this side. And just coil away till you get to the top. And like I said, let that wire do what it wants to do sometimes, because you'll be pleasantly surprised. I like that. I like that a lot. So I'm just going to come in one last time right here. Not even going to go all the way through, I don't think. I'm just going to get a good feel as to how much I need to tuck that wire around to the back. Again, the pointy part, the inside triangle pointy part of those flush cutters, use towards the part you're going to clip off so that you're left burless up here. Now I'm going to take my round nose, just going to give that end just a little curve. And now I'm going to use my Xerons, my needle nose, to just tuck that in. Another tool that comes in really handy for tight spots are these bent nose pliers. Perfect. Nothing to catch. Now we're going to take this lower one that's right here. I'm going to get that bead centered. Now, going towards the right. If you're left-handed, obviously you're going to be working opposite from me. But I'm going real tight up against that hole and the bead. I'm going up and around. My next pass, when I come around there, I want to cover where we started, coming out of that hole right there, because I don't want to see that little bent spot. I just want to see the pretty little wire shape that we've made. Okay. I'm coming over around that first wire right there. And I'm going to clip this right here just enough. Wire left on the piece itself so that I can tuck that in. You know what? I think I'm going to go around again. That's what I think. And I don't have to cut it. Yes, I like that. Okay. So now I'm going to go through the center right there. Grab my round nose. And bring it towards the back. Kind of curve that back towards the front. And we're going to secure it on that wire we used to cross right there. See what I mean? Design as you go. Back through. Okay. And I'll clip off that itty bitty little bit that you've got left. Again, the piece of wire that's left on your piece is the burr-free piece. And give it a little squeeze. Let's get in there with our final itty bitty little pliers. You want to not really see that end, and you want it to be smooth and not catch on anything. Okay, go ahead and make all your final adjustments. Anything that you knocked out of whack. There we go. I like that. I'm really happy with it. Oh, I'm so happy with that. I like that a lot. Let's just go in, give a few more little shapes. A little smoothing. Take out any of our tool marks. Give it some character, make it you. So it's not just round wire anymore, you're giving it shape in different places. I think that is plenty for now. There, very close, but some slight little differences. They'll come out different every time. The only time you need to be concerned with them coming out Very similar is if you're making earrings, which will be really cute too. So there you go. Go ahead and have fun with this. Make it your own. And don't be afraid. Thank you so much for tuning in again today. I hope you had fun. I know I did. Before I let you go, hit that bell so you are notified every time I make a new tutorial, and hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button, share this video, and please head on over to our Facebook group, Allegory Gallery Design Challenges, and show us what you've made. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.